You're watching Umami. You're watching Umami.
Hey, what's up, everyone? How's it going? Haven't streamed in a while. It's because I've been animating like a madman. But, yeah, a little bit of that and trying to, get outside and stuff now that it's nice and warm. The summers in Montreal aren't very long, so... also, I've been doing some research on some 3D stuff, so basically, yeah, anyway, the next episode, Safe Mode, is going to be crazy. I keep saying that every episode, but it seems like every episode I kind of, like, learn something new. The crew of Sights, Sounds, and Conversations. Hey, hello! And, hey, everyone, I got a bunch of new subscribers recently because of this crab video I made. Andy Warda, yeah, man, Aquanda Evans, yeah, I mean, Andy also usually has some great comments on YouTube. For some reason, they always make me laugh. Yeah, so I'm doing this shot. I did this in 3D basically, and sorry, I gotta just listening to my own music sometimes it's distracting when I have the stream going. So I got this shot I'm working on in 3D, and this live stream I'm going to be embellishing it with some hand-drawn animations on top. So it just basically makes it mixing the hand-drawn animations with the 3D animations kind of gives it a cool kind of look, I guess. How has the process for safe mode been compared to interface? Yeah, it's been more enjoyable because the series has a I guess less dramatic storyline that had a lot of moving parts, and it gave me a lot of stress when I was writing it, and because it had to like make sense in some sort of, I know a lot of people don't really get interface, but there is a logic to it. Safe mode is different in the sense that every scene precedes the next. I'm not going to be cutting back in time and doing flashbacks and that sort of thing. And story-wise, you know, I feel like flashbacks, I used it in in interface, but I feel like using flashbacks too much is kind of like a crutch, you know? And so I challenged myself to not do any flashbacks for safe mode. Any shot that you see will be happening basically in real time with the story, so that you're not jumping back and forwards in time. So I have this abstract kind of universe, and it will make it a little bit easier to follow, I think, despite it being so confusing still, you know, because there's just like one less moving part there for people. And I feel like it gives me a challenge to try to write in a different way. So I'm not falling on delivering exposition through flashbacks. So Dr. Manganate. I've been subscribed for a long time, and my friend recommended you because he really likes your stuff. Hey, Dr. Manganate, I appreciate the comment there. Hope you come to Chicago. Hey, Quanda, actually, you know, I was in Chicago last year for just like 3 or 4 days, and I went to the Art Institute. I actually was in Chicago because I went to the University of Milwaukee to like do like a sort of Q&A thing. But Chicago is a beautiful city, and I really wish I could have spent more time there. This city was actually, you know, it's a fantastic city, and just talking to people on the streets and stuff, like people were friendly as hell. I don't like, you know, people always say that Canadians are friendly and stuff, and not really. I mean, I don't think so. Not compared to Americans, not especially ones in Chicago. So I mean, I haven't done much traveling in the United States, but let's see. I won't be doing any traveling in the United States anytime soon, but I will be going doing other traveling for safe mode next month. But yeah, I hope to go to the States again sometimes. I mean, I might be going sometime soon. Anyway, so I'm gonna just draw some stuff here. Let's see. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to do is the text kind of glitches out here. And so I wanted to add like electrical glitches or something. Kind of make it look more like organic. So I was probably going to add it to this frame right here. Fresh Tawaka, yeah, that's kind of the plan with safe mode, you know. I feel like interface is like, it's hard for people to get into, especially because you know, there's, well, it's like the audience, first of all, you attract people because of like the creepypasta kind of like audience. They would like that, you know, but then it's also confusing, and I feel like safe mode is just a lot more light-hearted, but when it does go into the darker topics, which it will eventually go into, I feel like it's going to be more easy to digest, I guess. I don't really know what the word is, the quite word I'm looking for, but it's the reason why it's taking me so long to make these episodes and stuff, is because I really think a lot about like the story and the script. You know, I've been writing the script for Safe Mode episode 6, and it's been several months. Still haven't quite finished it because even if the episode's only like 3 or 4 or 5 minutes long, it's like, what am I trying to say, you know? And I don't want the animation to just be something that's cool to look at, even though that's what I'm also spending a lot of time doing. I want it to be kind of like meaningful, even if it's in just a little simple sort of episodic sort of way, you know? Hey, opinions on how YouTube treats animators. Well, you know, a lot of people talk about this. I try not to be like negative and stuff, because at the end of the day, I'm able to basically have a full-time job just creating whatever the hell I want, which wouldn't have had, you know, that kind of opportunity wouldn't exist before YouTube. So I'm not going to complain about YouTube. Like, you know, I will complain about some other YouTubers, though, that basically just make reaction videos, and then they also shit on YouTube for various reasons, which is hilarious. But, you know, it just comes with the territory as being an animator. You can't produce things as frequently as other kinds of content, and so, I mean, what exactly am I supposed to do about that? You know, I guess you could say, hey, YouTube, you should be like promoting animators more, you know, which I don't necessarily think that's a thing to agree on, that you're promoting a certain kind of content, you know, instead of something else based on some sort of ideological idea on what the quality of art is and that sort of thing. Basically, it's just YouTube is very just market driven, and animation can do well on YouTube. You just have to be able to pump them out like crazy, and unfortunately, that just doesn't gel with the style of animation that I make, and a lot of other animators too. You know, they spend so long on it, and you know. That's why I have to, you know, unfortunately, it's not like an unfortunate thing. I still do enjoy making like meme videos, but it's not what I really feel like I should be doing with my time. You know, I'm 32, you know, I can't be making memes when I'm 40. Like, I mean, I will be probably, but it can't be like the thing I'm known for, you know, is for making meme videos. So that's why I'm spending all this time on interface and safe mode. Hey, Aquanda, I appreciate that so much. Thank you for the super chat. But yeah, so what was I saying? I don't know. I feel like, I still feel like YouTube is still like the best place to get your stuff shown to people. You know, even with all the film festivals I've been in recently, I just feel like you just reach such a huger audience. And so, There's not really much I can say about it, really. You know, anything I have negative to say is just some issue I have to deal with internally. You know. Hey, what do you think of David Firth? Is he kind of, well, I mean, I don't think about him too much these days, you know, but when I was a teenager, he was one of my favorite animators, and he was a huge, you know, I think he's influential for YouTube animators in general, but for myself too as well. And actually, a lot of my musical tastes were probably derived from the fact that he used music from like Boards of Canada and some of his earlier animations. And I think he makes his own music too. But yeah, he's just a generally pretty cool dude, and I like his stuff. Hey, Steel Cannonball, I followed you since Thomas the Thermonuclear Bomb. Honestly, your passion and range. Hey, Steel Cannon, Ball. I appreciate the super chat. I mean, sorry, I appreciate the comment. Thank you very much. As Frail, I don't know if I said that right. I'm really surprised your work has not popped off as hard as something like Flatch Gits or Meat Canyon. Hey, well, Ashfrail, Balsara, I like your name. It looks cool. I don't know if I'm saying it right. I think it's, yeah, I mean, even, oops, I just closed one of my windows. I think even Meat Canyon was saying, like, when he's trying to do his, like, own original thing, YouTube just doesn't show it to enough people. And, you know, it's just a problem with the algorithm. It's just, like, basically, unless you're, like, here's an example. So, the crab video is doing extremely well for me. It's probably the best video, like, in terms of views I've made in probably 2 years. And that's because it's about something else that's trending. And so if I made all my videos about something else that is trending, I would probably be doing pretty well on here. The thing is, I don't really want to be making all my videos about something that's trending. However, once in a while, I get a good idea and I see something that's trending and I think it's also funny. And so, well, I'll make this short little video because it helps promote my other stuff on my channel. But also, you know, the crab video, I thought it was funny. I mean, I don't know. People are like, there was like a few comments where people are like mad that, or not mad, but just like, you know, shouldn't be making fun of autistic people or whatever. I'm pretty sure I'm like partially autistic just based on how I talk. But listen, you know, it's just a weird acting job, and I think you're allowed to make fun of actors that are portraying someone else in a not necessarily flattering but strange kind of light, to the point where it gets called out on like the internet. You know, and it's not really like, you know, in the crab video, I feel like I said to someone else, like, you know, if I had to rip my own arm off, I'd probably hyping myself up and screaming too, you know, because I'm not like that dude that goes rock climbing that cut it off with a you know, one of those Swiss Army knives. But hey, Clown Thur, thank you for the super chat, Clown Thur. Have you ever drawn Xavier Renegade Angel? You know, I've never drawn that, or you know, I've watched like clips of that show online, but I never really got into watching the show. It was I found it was kind of like almost like if you like smoked too much weed or something, you know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of the show was like having schizophrenia. Like, you were like, you're watching it and it makes you like kind of lose your mind a bit. And so I guess like it is kind of like funny to watch, but I couldn't handle it, you know? So it's not for me really. Though I'm sure it's hilarious. Like, there are some scenes that are pretty good. In terms of like Adult Swim shows, my absolute favorites are Eric Andre for sure. Smiling Friends turned out to be hilarious. I love all the like the little facial like expressions that they do, and sometimes they're like undermining each other and they're like kind of like talking under their breath, and these little bits and pieces of like character basically that they've put in. I feel like they're better actually. Like, Smiling Friends is like a better cartoon than most cartoons these days, I'd say. Not that I watch a lot of cartoons, but they do put a lot, you know, sometimes it just seems like a slapstick sort of humor sort of joke, but it seems like they put a lot of thought behind like their characters, you know, too, and how they express themselves. I'm sorry if everyone, I'm not able to answer all your questions. There's a lot of questions in here, but I'll try to get most of them. Hey, Umami, how you doing? I've always wondered, what is your artistic motivation to create interface? Oh man, well that's just that's just a desire to want to create something that resonates with people, and so that, you know, I don't just, my life isn't basically a cacophony of playing video games and working for someone else. You know, it's you know, that's what basically, or before I started Interface and before I, you know, I was just jumping from freelance job to the next, and I really wanted to make something of my own, and I really didn't know any way to do it, because who's gonna, you know, unless I'm making a short film and I somehow get funding, like, you know, and then that moves on to a feature film. Some of the things I wanted to do, I couldn't necessarily do with like live action, you know. So I think it's just, if you have like a desire to be creative and create things, you're gonna want to make something. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything like Interface, but whatever it is, you're gonna have this kind of itch to make stuff, you know. Theola, yeah, the crab video, just, it was like trending on Twitter, you know, and I don't know, I don't know if that's like, I don't use Reddit at all anymore. I've been using Twitter more often just because I feel like it's gonna end up being probably the next social media big social media platform for videos. I know a lot of people shitting on Elon Musk, you know, for some of the decisions he's made, but I really do think that in the end he's going to have a platform that has a lot of that might be conductive for a good creative environment, perhaps. I'm not really sure, but we'll see. We'll find out. Who knows? If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, but it's not like Facebook's doing any better, or Instagram, really. Was your intention to make safe mode feel uncanny? Kept me glued to the screen. I don't know about uncanny, but there's a few things that I'm doing with the textures and the sound design that I'm trying to tap into, like some sort of trance, you know. So when you're watching the episodes, you're almost like in a trance, you know. And it's the same sort of feeling I get from watching Michael Mann movies, like the director Michael Mann. I get this kind of like trance because just like the visuals are so beautiful sometimes, and then you get the music that's just the perfect music for it, you know. And Michael Mann is like quite possibly one of the one of the best stylistic directors out there, I think, you know, in terms of like, there's some directors that have a different philosophy where they feel like their style shouldn't be apparent in the film. I think like David Fincher said something like that. I'm not really sure if David Fincher is, but if he said that, I might be attributing it to someone else. But I think that's what makes me like movies sometimes, is because you become familiar with a certain aesthetic and style from a certain creative person. And I'm not just saying a director does all the creative jobs of it, but usually if the director has a strong vision, it becomes quite apparent movie through movie. So, you know, every time a Michael Mann movie comes out, I'm just going to go see it, because even if it's not great, like I'm probably going to still enjoy it a little bit. I think the only movie I didn't really like that he made was with that one with Johnny Depp in it that was about it was like in the 30s or something. I forget what it's called. Moda PRS. Hey, thank you for the super chat. Love your work. Do ignore if this came up before, but have you found any use for GPT for your creative work? Are you excited with any potential uses, Photoshop for Dummies? So I've been experimenting with AI art in general, and I've found that it's at times can be fun and to make something cool. Sometimes it's cool to just like make something really quick, you know, and just kind of gives you like an idea of what to do. But I find it like tedious. I don't like typing in prompts and stuff, and I'd rather just kind of just draw something at this point. And I've been spending a lot of time playing with it because I wanted to like fully understand like the implications of this kind of technology, you know. And there's a lot of people out there on Twitter, especially, that they just lose their minds. And, you know, it's gotten to a point where I've seen people bully independent video game developers for generating a texture using Midjourney or something. That's like a repeating pattern, like a tile pattern for a brick wall or something. I've seen that, and they're like bullying them for not supporting arts, and because AI is generated off of stolen art and all that shit. And it's like, man, you guys are not going to be the winners in the end. I know that for certain. And the thing is like, you got to, as an artist, be concerned with your own art primarily, and that's it. I don't know why these artists are like, I guess because they're commercial artists and they rely on it, you know, in terms of their jobs and stuff. But a lot of these things are in their head, and they got to get around to the fact that technology is going to just keep evolving, and it's not going to stop. You know, it's not going to, you're not going to get the government. I mean, I guess the government is going to regulate it, but it's not going to be like, we're not going to go back in time to pre-AI art era. So you got to come to terms with it, and getting mad at people for using it in creative ways, like to generate tiles for their video games so they don't have to make like 1,000 hand-drawn textures as an indie developer. I mean, come on. In terms of Chat GPT specifically, I haven't actually thought it. I couldn't find it to be that useful, because everything I would get it to say, I found it to be kind of corny. Like if I were to ask it to write me a poem or something, or hey, can you tell me some words that rhyme with this or that, or it would come back with like the lamest fucking shit. And it was just kind of like, well, that makes sense, because honestly, I see the majority of AI art that I see out there, it's mediocre. It's like, it looks like something that I've seen a trillion times before. And so the same is probably going to be applying to ChatGPT. You know, I feel like ChatGPT has some good uses though. You know, there was I was looking up, like, I needed like a history of like CEOs for a certain company. So I just asked ChatGPT, like, give me a list of these CEOs. And it like gave me everyone's name and the date. But you know, at another time, I asked it, hey, can you give me a quote by a famous artist about this certain topic? And it just completely made up a quote. It just made something up. And when I asked it for its source, it said, I can't provide a source. And actually, sorry, that quote I just gave you was wrong. It wasn't attributed to the artist or the person that I attributed it to. So for fact checking and stuff, it's not actually useful, which is probably one of the things I would be using it for. So I don't know. Maybe it will get better in the future. But I feel like unless it's like, if it's making shit up, like if you ask it a question about, like, give me a fact about this person or that, and just kind of make something up, then I don't really know how useful it can be, you know. So anyway, let's see. What else were some other questions here? A lot of questions today. Zach Adel Umami collab. Hey man, I'd be down for that. Hey, the Ash. I believe you live in Montreal. I felt like it was an exceedingly sterile, post-capitalist, and depressing place. Would you agree? Listen, man, I don't agree with that. I mean, I think Montreal is a beautiful city, and it's probably one of the best cities in Canada, honestly. It's chill. People are chill here. It's like there's a lot of support for the arts. There's tax credits for artists. In Canada, this is where I am. This is where I choose to be. There's some other places that are quite as beautiful as well in other parts of Canada, especially Nova Scotia. But I don't know. I just feel like the creative scene here is pretty good too. Hey, sorry, Canetheus? Appreciate the super chat. Here's Tony for your creative. Hey man, appreciate that. Thank you very much. Public Enemies, yeah, that was the movie. Roach Dog Jr. Umami, are you a big fan of Ted Kaczynski's book? I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, I didn't actually read the whole thing. You know, I'm just aware of that dude and the fact that when he released that manifesto, it was kind of like praised within the intellectual society a bit, a little too, because a lot of the points he made were real. It's just unfortunate that his methods for bringing that information out was, you know, in the way that it was done. You know, realistically though, if he was just some academic and he made this thesis page, you know, I don't know if anyone would have known about it. But that's all I'm going to say about that. Dovidas, or I don't know, I'm just butchering everyone's name. I'm sorry, man. But yeah, it is fear, you know. It's fear. People are like feared about their jobs and stuff. And, you know, that's fine, you know. But I feel like a lot of their anger is misplaced for sure. Okay, let's see here. I'm adding. Yeah, so you see how like now when it flashes, there's like these like kind of wiggly lines. It just kind of makes it look more like it just looks a little bit better, like it's a little bit more real, has like some tangibility to some sort of surreal world or something, rather than just being so digital and sterile looking. Do you have any ideas you wanted to make for a while, but they would take too long and just be too hard? Not really, man. You know, I feel like ideas are like, they don't come to me very easily, you know? And the actual work is not really that hard, you know? Like, for instance, that crab video, I pumped that out. I got Carolina and Allie to help me on this, and we worked on it basically full time for like 2 days, I think, or maybe 1 day, a day and a half, I think. And so it's only the idea that's the hard part, you know. And so I'm not like overflowing with ideas. So if I do have an idea that's like a difficult topic, it would be something like safe mode or something, which I plan to get through for the next couple years. There's ideas and stuff I want to talk about in safe mode, but I can't put them in the early episodes because it would not flow for a web series or for a feature film, you know? You don't turn on The Godfather and suddenly he's immediately talking about, you know, that's not a good reference, but basically what I'm trying to say is there has to be a time and a place for a topic, and that is applicable to movies as well. So, you know, I have to set the mood, set the tone, an atmosphere, and introduce the characters. And then once that's done, you can start kind of getting heavy into the topics, because then you're invested in the characters and you'll actually care about what they're saying. There's a lot of movies that just, they don't put any effort into making you care about their characters, which is well, it's pointless otherwise. You know, you're basically just you're just putting words in people's mouths for them to say, and it has no weight behind it. When even if it's a good idea, whatever it is they're saying, it just ends up being boring, because if you're watching a movie or something, like good movies or good TV shows or whatever, like, you know, Breaking Bad, whatever, and there's like these heightened moments of drama and whatever, you really want to know every single word he's saying or she, you know. And but you can only do that though if you spend the time to establish your world and your characters properly. So that's why it takes, like, it's going to take, you know, I'm starting to get into the topics that I wanted to really discuss with safe mode. With episode 5, that was just starting to get there, and episode 6, I'm really going to go into that stuff. But, like, you know, the first 3 episodes were kind of just lighthearted and just establishing. Hello, let's see, I'm missing some comments here. Aram Fingal. Hey, appreciate that very much. Thank you. Hello from Russia. I think you're... Well, I appreciate that comment, man. I'm in animation college, or in animation college. I lost my love for animation, but then I got acquainted with the interface and the desire to create in me again. You know, I hear this a lot, and I think the reason why it sparks people's creativity is because it doesn't look super polished, you know? Sometimes when I go to a museum and I see something that I really like, but at the same time it's like something that I feel like I could have done something similar had I come up with the idea, or you know, I see how it's crude in a certain way, but it doesn't matter. It's like it's what's behind the crudeness that draws me in. I think that's what's inspiring. You know, that's how I feel about it. Sometimes I just go to museums and I see other people's art and I get inspired to do something similar or to try something new. But I feel the inspiration is even stronger when whatever it is that I'm seeing, it's kind of got this like off-kilter, kind of like outsider, non-traditionalist kind of aesthetic to it. I don't know why that is. Quick question: how did you come up with Mischief's iconic design? You know, Mischief's character design, I kind of like drew him in a sketchbook as a teenager for some reason. Like I have like these old drawings of him, and so when I came up with his character, I basically just drew him again. And so I don't know why he kind of has this iconic look, but he's kind of got a simple look to him. He's not too complicated to look at. You can you can process his face pretty quickly. But it's just like certain, you know, his eyes are pretty simple, and they've got those like eyebrow things, right? So I don't know how to explain it, man. It's just sometimes if you have a sketchbook, whatever, and you go back and you look through your old stuff, the stuff that resonates the most might actually be something you might want to use again, because that means that if you're enjoying it, you know, after all these years, then there's probably something about the design of it that is that's resonant. Hey, you should do a Little Mermaid video where they try to make Flounder too human. You know what, Slick Nick? I actually thought of that idea about doing like a Flounder video, but I just couldn't think of like an animation for it. You know, like I thought about drawing a fucked up looking Flounder. Maybe I'll still do that idea, but when the movie comes out, so that's like trending, you know. But I don't know. Well. The idea has to make me laugh, you know. I couldn't think of anything that makes me laugh, so that's probably... And then here I'll have some more electrical pulses, but just more kind of like scattering in the air. Oh man, Demosphere, I have not been able to master the Dave Van Cowboy drum. You know, I'm not a... I come to terms with the fact that my abilities on the drums are pretty simple. I'm not... And honestly, I haven't been practicing the drums in a while. I stopped because I was getting too stressed out practicing the drums and animating at the same time and doing some other stuff. And I needed to refocus, you know? I needed to refocus. As a creative person, sometimes you try to do too many different things, and you kind of lose sight of what is what you need to be doing. And what I need to be doing right now is making the best possible animations I can do. So that's, you know, also I think that song, I think they use like some sort of like layering technique. So I'm not even sure if the drums are possible. I would love to see someone play that drum solo, or the drum part of that song, because it's friggin' insanely difficult. For me it is anyway. Hey, Matthew. I think there's an intentional balance in art and imperfections that create unique style. Yeah, man, I agree with that. There's a little meme about that. Artists on Twitter post polished work, get 5 likes. Artist posts 5-minute rough sketch, 20,000 likes. Yeah, man. You know what it is though. It's just, I don't know. Like, it's just you know, it's like, why are my favorite YouTube animations like the crudest shit you've ever seen? Like Gregory. I don't know if you guys have seen Gregory, but if you haven't, typed in Gregory on YouTube. You know, and Pilot Red Sun. Why is he so popular? It's because it's just something like, it's like an aesthetic that hasn't really. I guess now it's, you know, with YouTube poops and all that shit. It has been kind of become like a style almost. Well, I don't know why that stuff resonates with people, man. I think it's this idea that art has to be super well rendered, and it's like some sort of idea that we've been, you know, gripping with since basically Impressionism, right? Or because that's when they started changing styles of artwork to be less representative and more abstract, or not abstract, but stylistic, I guess. You know, I really wonder though what memes we're gonna find funny in 20 years from now, because maybe it's gonna be the complete opposite. You're gonna find that everything comes in cycles, and what this crude, weird shit is now might just be like memes in the future. They might be like super clean jokes, you know, with like really crisp graphics. And honestly, now I'm starting to think about that. It almost kind of sounds funny if I were to think of some way to do that. But anyway. Edwin L. Drake, I noticed that you use a lot of other people's classics works in your own. I love it because it's a great example of how everything has been done before isn't really true. We give old art new context. 100%, my friend. Listen, you know, it's not like every shot of my animation is a drawing from someone else's painting. It's like usually every other episode I'll do like a one reference to like something I love art-wise, and it's because that's exactly what it is. It's this idea that everything has been done, you know, and there's only a certain amount of ways to do things in ways that people will enjoy. And we got to kind of stop getting over this idea that artists are creating things. You know, in my opinion, artists are discovering things, and they're rediscovering things. And rather than being like, oh, look at me, the guy who made this is 100% original from my mind. It's like, not really, because everything that you've experienced in your life culminated to the fact that you're able to produce what it is that you've made. And so I find that art is more an expression, or it's a curation, and that artists have to be just as good at curation of ideas and the styles and aesthetics than they have to, than they are as creating some supposedly original idea, you know. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit more. I'm giving myself something like tedious to do for this stream, because I can't actually focus and draw properly when I'm streaming. It never goes well. But you see right here, maybe I could do something where, well, I don't know if that's a good idea. Nah, never mind. Mr. Matchbox, I do animate in Photoshop, but the drawing behind here was done in Cinema 4D, and so I use many different tools, not just Photoshop. Photoshop's just one part of my job, one tool that I use. They tried to ban memes in the UK, so people drew a bunch of memes to protest. Man, I don't know what's going on in the UK, but they're always banning something. They just don't have any trust in their own people. I don't understand. That's a generalization, I guess. Nuclear Summer has been one of my favorite things over the last year, so I'm sad you aren't doing more with drums right now. Thank you for what you did. Hey Theo, I appreciate that. I might do more drums in a different release sometime. But yeah, I'm definitely taking a break from that for now. Yeah, so the quote, credo quia absurdum, I kind of chose it because, well, there's a history behind that phrase, but basically, I believe because it's absurd is almost like saying, I could believe that anything is possible in terms of like what's out there in the universe, just from the very fact that we're existing today on this planet in a system of trillions of stars is kind of an absurd notion in itself, don't you think? And so it means like I believe it could be anything really. Like I could believe there's aliens out there, or I believe there could be ghosts, or there's an afterlife, or maybe there's not an afterlife. Whatever it means, it's like the fact that life is very absurd just kind of it lets me think of, it reminds me of the fact that, despite the amount of science and technology that's discovering how the universe works every day, we really don't know anything, and so I feel like the best way to address some of these kind of things is through absurdist comedy, because it's kind of like a reflection of not being able to understand our own environment. That's kind of like a really long-winded explanation. That's basically, I don't even know if I explained it properly, but that's kind of what I'm thinking intuitively. Okay, so I need to just draw a little bit less here. Eric B, no problem, man. Thanks for hanging out. Hey, Chuck, appreciate that. Yeah, the beard is just basically, I haven't been shaving my face because out of laziness. But you know what? It does, like, once it grows in, it actually kind of looks all right. Hey Umami, what happened to the chatty person you do these with? I swear that person was real. Oh, you mean Carolina, do you think? Is that... She's actually out right now, but yeah, she's causing a ruckus in the background somewhere. She doesn't really hang out in my live streams anymore. I don't live stream that much, actually. I don't really have the personality for it, I just do them once in a while when I'm bored, like I want to do something different, or just talk to my fans or whatever and say hello. Rabbi Shmuel. I don't know if I said that right either, but Seinfeld's experience changed my life. Man, you know what? The best comment I got on that video was on when I posted it to TikTok. Someone said that they showed that video to their family in an Italian restaurant or something like that, and the entire table like erupted in laughter, and they couldn't be quiet. It was like so loud. And it was because they watched Seinfeld Expands, which is kind of just so stupid because like it's really abstract, you know. But I just think like imagining someone's like dad watching this video his son or daughter showed them, and it's like just Jerry Seinfeld getting really large and then him losing his mind over it is just a really funny thought to me. Hey, Dworkstein. Not sure if you've spoken about it. What are your thoughts on copyright of the original artist as it relates to how things get fed into AI art programs? Well, listen, man. These AI softwares, they shouldn't be using copyrighted artwork, period, you know? Because these are billion-dollar venture capitalist-funded corporations that are doing it, and who, you know, and a lot of these people who signed up to like Shutterstock or whatever, they're kind of getting screwed too, because Shutterstock basically just, you know, they basically can do whatever they want with their in their terms of service, and I think there's like an opt-out system to it. So yeah, I mean, here, look, there's some legitimate problems with AI art for sure. I'm just not one of those anti-AI art in general persons. But yeah, I mean, it's not even going to be easy for people to prove. Like, how can you say, oh, you know, my art is definitely in here? But there's a few times I've seen people post something that was practically a one-for-one recreation of something they've made in the past. So, you know, there's definitely like, and you know, another thing is when I was playing with some of this AI art software, especially Stable Diffusion, I came to realize that the seed number is an image that the image is created. It's like based off of the seed number, and the seed number is like an image in it, even though it's not stored in their software as an image, it's stored in there as a bunch of weights or whatever it is. A seed number will basically be a composition, which means that composition came from somewhere. And that composition only exists because it was fed an image, and not because the AI software has formulated the image on with its own mind. And so in some ways, I do find AI art, as it is right now, to be a little bit underwhelming, because it's not truly creating anything original. But it doesn't matter. It's like, if it's able to, you know, it's like almost like saying, you know, so here's the thing, if you can get the software to have conversations with you to a point where it's believable and it passes all these tests, does it really matter if it's coming up with these ideas 100% on its own? Because I don't know if humans came up with any of their ideas and thoughts and 100% on their own either. Just like we're just trained on a lot of data too. We're trained on the senses, you know, that we've been fed through our entire life. So if you were to gift a computer those same senses and let it sense the environment around it through imagery and videos, the problem is that the stuff that we're giving these machines is copyrighted, and it was created by a human. So there's a lot of issues with the AI art, and it's a complicated topic, and I don't really have a, you know, I just try to keep an open mind with this stuff, you know. Have you tried to look into looking into locally running some of the open source language models based on Llama? No, I haven't. You know, it's just not something I'm quite interested in doing. It's probably very cool, but you know, I'm too focused on my own artwork, and I barely have enough time in the day to animate and make music and stuff that I whenever it would be doing something like that, I just wouldn't have any time. Okay, let's see here. Okay, see now when I play this, that looks like so much cooler that there's like static coming off of that thing. And some of the look at it, like the glitches here in the ball. I didn't mean for it to do that. I don't know why it's doing that, but I decided to leave it because the moon, by the way, not the ball. It's actually a moon, but I kept it because it just looks cool. It looks like it's glitching out, which is exactly what the safe mode is doing right now. So I was like, let's just leave it. Carry a mirror. Yeah, man, I can see. I do that too sometimes. I don't think people are going to be losing their jobs. I mean, well, okay, listen. Yeah, there are going to be people losing their jobs. But what I'm trying to say is these jobs will be, hopefully, I mean, I'm trying to be optimistic, but I think that these people will be able to use their creative resources to do more, either for themselves or for whatever project they're working on, and not be bogged down with some of the more tedious aspects of creating art, such as rigging a character in 3D. You know, is there any realistic reason why we have to be doing that manually? Or can we get AI to just do it for us? And then we can do the fun creative part of moving the character around. Or making, you know, generating air conditioning unit 340 for Grand Theft Auto 6. You know, is that a good use of an artist's time? Or even making concept art. I mean, yes, concept art is it's a skill. But if it's not the end product, you're making basically fancy storyboards for something else. And shouldn't your goal be to create the end product? I mean, creating art is a process, right? And some people enjoy making the storyboards, and some people enjoy making the concept art. But is it not the end product, the thing that you really want to be working on? And any step that you can do to make that quicker and more efficient, and also to be able to allow to your smaller teams to be able to do the same jobs as like big multi corporations. I don't see how that's a bad thing. You know, if anything, what that's going to do is going to end up allowing people to be more creative with because they're going to have more time to actually think about what they want to be doing, story-wise, or meaning-wise, or just aesthetic-wise. You know, instead of being bogged down with so much of the technical aspects of creating art. Anyway, I feel like I talked too much about AI right now, so probably won't be answering any more AI questions. You know, the thing is though, people got to understand, like, we're going to go through, you know, the human lifespan is 80 years, right? Roughly. And 80 years ago was like World War II, you know, and computers didn't exist. We're going to go through 80 years of development at an exponential scale quicker than what we've experienced in the 20th century. So this AI art stuff is just the beginning, and we're going to be seeing more. We're going to be seeing more like paradigm shifting, career changing technology coming out in the next 20 years, and people are going to be losing their minds. But unfortunately, that's what happened in the 20th century. It's going to keep happening. You know, it's like, people like to think, you know, here's the thing. It's like when people grow up and they have heroes or whatever it is, and they see people that, like, they aspire to be a great artist, or they want to be a rock star or whatever. Let's say someone grows up in the 80s and they want to be a rock star. And by the time they reach 20 years old, rock really isn't that big anymore, you know? some people want to be video game developers, you know? And so right now the industry is asking for a lot of video game developers, but in 20 years, the way video games are being made is going to be completely different, because I see the exact same thing happening to that happened to video creation happening to the video game world right now. The only thing that's preventing it from happening to the video game world is that video games are a little bit more complicated. You need programming skills, and it's way harder to make, you can't just pick up a video camera. But like, in the same way that the digital camera kind of revolutionized content creation for videos and film, the exact same thing's going to happen to video games. And there's going to be the thing that they really need to be teaching people in schools is not so much skills. Well, it's the skills, but they also need to be taught how to adapt and learn how to change those skills into different areas in the future, because their careers are going to be so rocky. It's not like growing up in the 1800s and you can be a blacksmith for your entire life and never experience any change. Most people in their lifetime today are experiencing crazy technology changes that you're going to be forced to do something to adapt. And if you can't adapt, then you're really screwed. Anyway, okay, let's add some more zaps here. I just really hope, people... So that's why I'm so against people who are just so outright negative about this stuff. It's like, you can't afford to be negative about the AI art. You have to learn about it. You have to learn about it. If you want to make any career out of this, even if you don't use it for your own artwork, just know what you can do, because you never know until you know, right? Honestly, if you were to tell me that like a computer could make a drawing, like an art 10 years ago, I'd have been like, that's impossible. Like, artists have one of the, creativity is something that can't be automated, right? And then, laughing probably. It's like all those accountants, they're going to be automated out of a job, but not me, because I'm an artist, and that's something that computers can't do. Well, guess what? They can do that now, and so join the club with everyone else, because everything's going to be automated. It's just changing the way society works. You have to be a chameleon, and change your skin. All right, enough of that. Yeah, seriously, enough about AI art. I'm gonna go crazy. But I don't know what else to talk about. Hey, did you guys see that movie, Everything, Always, and Everywhere, and all that? I don't know what the name of it's called. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Is that what it's called? Here's gonna be a hot take. I really hated that movie. So sorry if anyone liked it, but well, I mean, this is my opinion, which it's not that important. But man, I was like, I watched it because all the hype, right, and all the Oscars and all that shit, and then I watched the movie and I tried to get into it, and I was like, this is the fucking most pretentious thing I've ever seen. And there's the scene where they're like walking towards the donut and stuff. I'm like, okay, I get it, the donut, the joke, right? But like, it goes on forever. I'm actually forget most of the movie now. Here's the thing. There's a few parts of the movie that were good, especially when they're like fighting and they're doing all that wacky like postmodernist shit with the stuff flying out all over the place. That was kind of cool. But then it kind of felt like a gimmick. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. See, here's another thing. There was another movie that was very hyped, right? And I also avoided seeing it for a long time. It was called Parasite. And then I did see it, and it absolutely blew my mind at how good it was. And so I don't understand. And then there was that other movie, Gravity. You guys see Gravity? Which got all these Oscar nominations and stuff. And then I watched it, and it was like the most ridiculous sci-fi movie in like a bad way I've ever seen. Like like George Clooney is like blasting around. Okay, so they're doing some like mission critical thing on the International Space Station, right? And so George Clooney's like using up all his fuel doing a spacewalk. He's just like blasting around in a circle, using up like all the fuel of his like mobility scooter in the space, whatever the hell you call that thing, and playing a radio like he's some sort of space cowboy, right? And then almost like when the shit started like hitting the fan and that like they started getting exploded by the asteroid, whatever it was, I started laughing because I was like, you fucking deserve that. We're just like, we're not like, I don't know. It just, I don't know, man. And then she's like flying. She's like, I need to go to the Russian, the Russian space station. So she like, what did they do? She like blasted her way towards it or something using something. And then, you know how impossible that is? That's like trying to like, that's like jumping from like, I don't know. That's like jumping from Earth's atmosphere and landing on a, like a needle. Like this, it's impossible. You're not gonna be able to find anything. I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling, but what I'm trying to say is the Oscars are not a good barometer for good movies. That's for sure. It's just a jetpack. I guess it's a jetpack. I just call it a space mobility scooter. I think that's a better name for it. I mean, well, George Clooney, right? Isn't he like 78 years old or something now? Like, it has to be a mobility scooter, right? Mobility booster. I love sci-fi movies, so when I see a sci-fi movie that's like, I don't know. Here's another thing. I remember one thing about that movie, Gravity, that kind of just pissed me off because this is like a nerd thing, right? All right. He's like, okay, so there's a scene where he's like being blasted away into space, and he's like holding onto a tether or something like that, right? And they're like, we can't. He's like, we can't pull you or whatever. I mean, like the physics of that scene didn't make any sense because all you have to do is just, I don't even know how to explain it. It's been so long I can't explain it. But basically, the physics didn't make sense. They're very profound, Justin. Great commentary on that movie. God damn. But yeah, I don't think they really cared about physics in that movie. So what else we got here? I'm gonna add some more here. Let's see here. You need to watch Coherence. And you know, I actually that's another movie I tried to watch and I couldn't watch it. There was just too much dialogue, and I just turned it off. I don't think it was a bad movie. It wasn't for me. I'd definitely check out Zero Theorem. Okay, I will check that out. Oh man, I liked Solaris with George Clooney. It was a different sci-fi. Steel Cannonball. I actually agree with you on that. I did like that movie. And I remember in film history class I took a long time ago. I did like a little. I did like a storyboard breakdown or something of like a scene from that movie, the George Clooney Solaris, and I remember when I like no, it wasn't a storyboard, it was like a script breakdown of a scene or something like that, right? I remember when I told my professor I'm gonna be doing it on Solaris. He's like his eyes lit up. He's like, oh, Solaris, right? The you know, Tarkovsky's Solaris. I'm like, no, the one that came out a couple years ago with George Clooney. And then his expression changed. It's just like, yeah, I mean, I could tell that he was like a Tarkovsky fan, right? And I tried watching Solaris, and I tried to get through Stalker, and I even have one of his books here, and I agree with a lot of the stuff he says in his books, but I don't have the attention span for some of his movies, man. They put me to sleep. So, you know, I don't know how people can watch Stalker without going to sleep. I've fallen asleep twice, and I'm not trying to just say that. Like, I literally fell asleep. Maybe I'm just like a zoomer, like my attention span's shot, you know. I don't know, man. It was just a little too slow for me. Despite that, I do agree with what his like ideas are in filmmaking. But oh yeah, Brazil's a great one too. The first 30 minutes of the film is banter that sets up the actual twist. It's subversive coherence. Okay, so maybe I just didn't wait long enough. Because it sounds to me like at 30 minutes, that's when things start to get really good. Maybe I'll give it another shot then. Because I feel like it felt like it was good. It was just, I don't know. The banter was like, it was too much. Because I'm not an extrovert. And so when there's that much banter, I like, even when I'm watching it as a movie, isn't that kind of stupid? Yeah, good one, Anon, for. Let's put some. I'll put Fortnite footage on the lower half of the screen. That will get me right through Stalker. Man, that's some funny stuff, man. I should. I can't. That was a funny idea. Okay. Primer is a movie. It's been a long time since I've seen Primer. I enjoyed that too. Primer is a good example of being able to do a lot of stuff with just a very small budget. If you have a good idea, you know. I think when the Primer came out, it spurred a whole bunch of movies that took place in like one location. Jabron, I think you've sold me. I'm gonna have to check out Coherence a second time. Mad God, I haven't heard of that one. You know, it's an underrated movie that no one knows about. This movie I watched on Netflix once that was on there for like a month or two, and then it just got removed and then was never on there ever again. It's like a Spanish movie called The Fury of a Patient Man. If you guys like westerns, like revenge movies, you should see this. The Fury of a Patient Man. There's some really gritty scenes in that. And it surprised me at how realistic the acting felt. And even though maybe it was because it was in Spanish, like maybe a native Spanish speaker would probably not feel the same way, but when I was watching it, it just felt so real. that's something I really appreciate when I watch movies, is not like Hollywood acting or TV acting, but like this is a real person acting. And that's partially what makes the Safdie brothers movies so good, like Good Time and Uncut Gems, is because they use these characters that are non-actors. They don't have all these preconceived notions of what an actor should be doing, and they just play themselves basically, and it feels real. And you watch the movie and it's like, god damn, this just feels like I'm watching, it's just real, it just feels real. And I don't know what it is. I feel like a lot of times traditional Hollywood acting and stuff, I feel like it's always going to be there. But you know how you watch like a movie from the 50s and you're like, man, how the fuck do people watch this? This acting is like, it's just so opaque, you know? But I feel like we're going to be saying the same thing about movies today in 40, 50 years. You know, we're going to be like, how did people watch, how do people watch that kind of Hallmark acting, TV acting stuff, you know? It's still going to exist in 50 years. I just feel like the people's tastes are going to shift. That's how I feel about it. But acting is one of those things that can, if a movie has an excellent acting, you can kind of forgive it for everything else. You can forgive the visuals. You can forgive the sound design. There was a movie by Thomas Wittenberg. I forget what it's called, but it was like shot on like a home camcorder sort of thing. But the acting in it was so good, it didn't matter. Yeah, that's what it is, man. It's Edwin, Smiling Friends, and Joe Kappa. They get like their characters are so strong. They feel real, you know, and especially Joe Kappa. Okay, here's the thing. Okay, over sincerity is becoming, or it already is. It's becoming a comedic trend, where it's like it's so sincerely positive, or that it's almost, you feel like a pit of, like a pain, like your stomach sinks a little bit. And Joe Kappa has gotten that down to a T. And I have seen this kind of humor before. In there's this channel on YouTube called Eternal TV. And they actually have their own website. They're kind of like a streamer. It's basically just run by a bunch of people who make weird videos, and they also, a lot of people are freelancers, or they work on Adult Swim and that sort of thing. It's nothing related to Adult Swim, but they have this show on there called, I forget what it's called, but it's like they remade Family Guy, but in 3D, with like the characters are all fucked up looking and stuff. But the thing is, it's like so positive and sincerely positive, and then that mixed with the weird visuals, it gives like the weirdest, strangest feeling. But and then you watch it, you don't really laugh though. You don't laugh out loud, but you find it funny. Like, I don't know, I really know how to explain it. But I feel the same way about Joe Kappa's humor, sense of humor, and I just feel like it's like I find that it's like it's almost like, because it's like a polar opposite of Family Guy in terms of like crudeness, you know. It's like if you take something like Family Guy or South Park and you go 100% the other way, where something is just so positively sappy, and you know, it's still funny. It's just like, it's almost like a, what was that J-Reg was telling me about horseshoe theory, you know, about things that are like the polar opposites are almost the exact same. Well, it's comedy in a different format. It's just, you know, I'm just rambling again. You guys should check it out though. Look up Eternal TV and type in Family Guy, and then also, well, you already know who Joe Kappa is. Oh no, sorry, yeah, it's called Eternal Family. That's what it's called. Eternal Family TV, I think. .tv. Eternal Family. Yeah, and so another thing is there's another show that had that same sort of humor called it was just a pilot. They never made it a season. It was a pilot called Day World. DAY World. And I think you can find it if you search for it on Adult Swim's website. And it's got the same humor where it's just this, I don't know, there's not even a term to describe it. I just call it like sincerity, like extremist sincerity or something. So absurdly innocent, inverse edginess. Yeah, it's like, what is he? I don't know there's not a good word for it yet, but someone's going to come up with it eventually, because it's a trend that's coming. Like, I'm seeing it more and more often now, you know. I feel like there's going to be, I don't know if it will ever reach mainstream though. Like, I don't think like Fox TV is going to order a season of like something in like Joe Kappa's humor, but maybe, well, Adult Swim definitely will, but maybe like something, I guess Fox might on their other channel, FX network, but not the mainstream channel though. I don't think so. They always do this. I don't know what they do these days. I don't watch it. Have you seen King of the Hill edits by Aliantos on YouTube? Yeah, man. You know what? Before I started making these animations on YouTube, Aliantos was one of my, well, he still is, but he just doesn't upload anymore. But I used to love those videos. Those were the best. You know, honestly, I never really enjoyed YouTube poops, except for Aliantos's versions of King of the Hill, because they were done. They were done to like another level, you know. Post irony. Maybe that's what it is, Char. I mean, that's because, you know, if you're being sincere, you're not ironic anymore, right? So if you go extremely sincere, then you would be post-ironic, perhaps. I don't know. Okay, everyone. You know what? I don't usually stream that long, and I think I'm gonna call it quits soon. But I might stick around for a little bit if you guys got more questions. But let's see here. So let's just. I'm added this electrical sort of effect to it. You know what? I have to. There's a few shots here. I just want to change it a little bit. Joe Kennedy, your music is similar to Tim Hecker's work. You know, the name sounds familiar, but I'm not actually sure if I know who Tim Hecker is. I probably listen to his music because it's probably on my Spotify playlist. Maybe I should go check it out and actually listen to it and like be aware that it's Tim Hecker, because I don't know if I want to be doing all this work every frame. I can do it. There's not that many frames here. It's just a couple frames are bothering me. No, fuck that. I'm not going to do that. Sorry, guys. Just a little bit here, maybe. Is Umami channel your full-time job? Do you have any recommendations on how to replace 9-to-5 job with your own artistic stuff? Yes, it is a full-time job for me now, for sure, because the merchandise is, I'm always shipping stuff out, and you know, I'm not making that much money, but it's enough to pay my bills, so it's become a full-time job for me. And I'd rather be doing this and not be getting that much money rather than working somewhere else. So Advice though, how to replace a 9 to 5 with your own artistic stuff, that's really tough, man, because that's like giving you advice how to become a YouTuber. And I don't like, it's hard. Like, what is it that can you do something that no one else is doing out there that you can, or not necessarily, can you do it better than them, you know? Or do you provide a perspective? Do you have like a character trait like that's conductive to being a good streamer or something, you know? I don't know, because realistically I'm not a good person to be asking. I don't like, the only thing that like made me able to succeed on YouTube is just basically putting the most amount of effort into my animations as possible and always trying to make something really good. So I just figured that at the end of the day, people will want something that's good. So I guess I had to ask you then, like, what would you be interested in doing? You know, if you want to become like a creator online, you know, because it's not an easy answer, and it's a different answer for every person, and everyone's got a different set of skills, and even that being said, it's a lot of it has to do with luck and, you know, being on trend and resonating at the right time, and it's kind of a mess. And it's extremely competitive, as you know, it's just like everything these days. Addison, thank you. Would you ever put an original Tron reference in safe mode? Hey, Christian Kramer, you know what? I like the idea of having like those tails behind them. You know what? Maybe I could actually. You know, I've got Pong in here. I kind of like the idea of having like classic game, like tropes or whatever, like as story elements. So maybe I might do that. That seems like a cool idea, and it would match aesthetically, I think. Space P, just catching the end, but I want to say your beautiful art style inspired me to learn how to make a game. Hey man, that's awesome. Are you gonna use Unity? Unity, or listen, Unity or Unreal Engine right now is the best time to make a video game. The tools are free, basically. You can, so many resources out there on learning how to do stuff. You know what? Now's the time to be an indie game developer. You know, it is going to be extremely hard though, and that's partially why I'm not. Well, I'm an animator. You know, I want to make video games too, but like that's not something I don't got the skill set for that. So let's see here. I'm gonna go back for a second. I'm going to see Limp Bizkit concert. Okay. Joe Kennedy, start with Virgins. Thank you, Joe Kennedy. I will check that out. I'll start with Virgins then. Hey there, Manny. Hello, Fernando. I think Jason Swag. Hi, Justin. I love your work. I first discovered you from seeing a new Adult Swim Small starring Mischief. Something about the style of your animation has always memorized me. Thanks for all you do. Jason, I appreciate the comment. Thank you very much. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, so you know what? I've done those commissions for them a while ago. You know what? Adult Swim's pretty awesome for just supporting online, not necessarily online, but just animators in general. You know, I discover a lot of cool stuff from their Adult Swim Smalls program. There's no one else out there really commissioning weird animations on that scale. I mean, I don't know MTV used to do that at some time, I guess, but I don't know if anyone watches that anymore. I don't have cable, so. Yeah. 2D art and animations for a game. It's like doing let's do animation what's already hard enough, and then like put layers of testing and programming and interaction and scripting. Just make it like it's like taking animation and cubing it basically in terms of workload. Even the Chimney Alfonso thing, click your own adventure, choose your own adventure thing that I made was like way too much work. I had to make 28 separate videos for that, and keeping track of like the way that it like networks was I had to do so much testing, and it's not even a game. It's just some like YouTube thing. So even like simple point and click games are complicated. Unity, yeah. My partner's in the industry, so she's gonna take me under her wing. I've been messing with Blender, so I'm gonna make a 3D game. That's awesome, Space B. Good luck with it, man. You know what though? If I'm gonna give you some advice, unwarranted advice or unsolicited advice, make something simple and small first. Like treat it like a short film. You don't have to make this huge game yet. Make something that someone can play and beat in like 10 minutes. Because you'll learn so much from doing a small project like that, and you won't feel burnt out from doing it because it will be over relatively quickly. And you know what? That's if you're trying to grow an audience. Okay, so for the person who asked me how to grow on YouTube, whatever, this is my advice. It applies to making video games or animations, whatever. Just start small and make short things and prove to yourself and to others that you can create something that people enjoy at a small scale first. So that means 30-second animations or 10-second animations. And that it means a video game that you can play in 10 minutes, and it's fun for there's a few games out there that are just really dumb and simple, and it's fine. Was it the guy was it Mark DeMero? He's like a musician, right? But he made a game where he just like shaved some guy's face. And that's it. And I think he like gets mad at you if you keep cutting him. And then there was this game called like Showering with Your Dad or something stupid. Like it's just these really dumb, simple game ideas. Or there was one game I played that was like called I don't forget it. I can't even remember it now. But basically, just make something small and simple first, and then you can. I guess that's if you're making a game, you're gonna be following tutorials and stuff. They're gonna tell you that. That's the only realistic way I was able to make interface, which is a feature film now, basically, is from breaking it down into really small bites, small steps. And the first episode was only a couple minutes long, right? Then the next one was a couple minutes long. And then before you know it, you got this big thing, but, anyway. Mark DeMarco? Yeah, that's Mac DeMarco, yeah. He came out with like an album recently that has got like 1,000 tracks or something? Or is it 999 tracks? Blue Lily, appreciate that. Thank you. Metalis Animation, what do you think of those AI generated art videos? Well, I already went on about AI art, but There's a few channels that are doing the some really funny stuff now, like The Rock eating rocks, or what's that guy who made like Will Smith eating spaghetti? I feel like it's still early days, you know, but there's some people out there doing some pretty creative stuff using these tools, like just really bizarre stuff. I actually subscribe to a couple of these people because they're kind of like pushing the technology to its limits right now. It's just kind of in fun ways too. Mac DeMarco's on Eternal TV. Yeah, man. I got an interface on Eternal TV too. Eternal TV is like this. I don't know. They got a really weird library of content on there. But you know, maybe it's almost like, you know, it might be the right place for some people. You know. There's like these animations on there called Dole, I think, and those are also really hilarious. All right, everyone, I'm running out of energy now. You know, I didn't really do much animation as usual for these live streams, but I've been spending a lot of time in Cinema 4D, and thank you to Chris Rutledge, who's the guy who works in 3D, for introducing me to Autodesk Arnold, because it's completely changed the way I work in 3D. I used to be using like Sketch and Tune, which is in Cinema 4D, and it's just so slow and limiting. And now I can do crazy stuff like this in 3D, which is pretty awesome. And so, you know, not everything I do is going to be 3D, but it basically augments my hand-drawn skills. So when I combine the two, it's like just takes it to another level. So I'm really pleased how this all turned out. Okay, everyone, I'll talk to y'all next time. Have a good week. Enjoy your summer. It's not going to last long for me, so I'm trying to get out as much as I can. Oh, and by the way, if you're in Annecy, going to the Annecy Animation Festival in June, Safe Mode Episode 3 is going to be screening 3 times. And I'll be at the first 2 screenings. So if anyone is there and wants to say hello, I'll be at those screenings. All right, everyone. I'll talk to y'all next time. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Good night.
You're watching Umami.